The 254 Nepali students who returned home from the Nepal Airlines flight in the wee hours this morning have been reunited with their family members. There were emotional scenes at the airport this morning as the horrifying ordeal for the students and their family members that began last Saturday with the invasion of Hamas fighters into Israel ended after an impatient and restless wait of 6 days. The government, in the meantime, has assured of bringing home the next group of Nepali nationals who have shown their willingness to return to Nepal. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. An additional 200 Nepali nationals expressed their desire to return home from war-torn Israel. Non-resident Nepalese Association Israel calls for calm. The tender process for 3 contracts under the Millennium Challenge Corporation's project to construct a transmission line scrapped. The decision in line with the recommendation from the MCC Secretariat, Washington. Israel's military direct all civilians of Gaza City, more than 1 million people, to relocate south within 24 hours as it amassed tanks ahead of an expected ground invasion. And Bangladesh batters struggle against New Zealand to post a mediocre total of 245 runs in today's match of the ICC World Cup. An additional 200 Nepali nationals have expressed their desire to return home from war-torn Israel following the rescue of 254 Nepali students earlier this morning. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the 254 that were brought home have returned to their families or are already in contact with their respective family members. The government had prioritized evacuation of students through the chartered flight of Nepal Airlines. The other Nepali nationals, including students who are still in Israel, have expressed concerns, saying that the nature of attack by Hamas militants had been changing compared to the initial days. The Nepalese embassy in Israel has said it is coordinating with concerned authorities to safely return those willing to return to Nepal. The embassy had called on those interested to fill in the forms, and it has said so far it has received around 500 applications. The non-resident Nepalese Association Israel has meanwhile called for calm, saying that the situation had changed compared to previous days and that the attacks by Hamas had been limited to rockets. The government and Israeli authorities are still searching for the missing Nepali national Bipin Joshi. 10 Nepalese students had died in Hamas's attack on Saturday. The Friday evening deadline given by Koshi Province Chief Parshuram Khapung has expired. The Koshi Province Chief, as per the sub-clause 5 of Article 168 of the Constitution, had given a deadline until this evening to stake the claim for Chief Minister. Maoist centers Indra Angbo and Nepali Congress's Kedar Karki both claimed that they had the majority to lead the Koshi province government yesterday. Following an agreement between the ruling alliance parties at the center, Indra Angbo was picked to lead the province government with the support of 47 members yesterday. However, Karki also staked his claim with the support of 8 Nepali Congress members and 39 from CPN UMO. Meanwhile, the Work Execution Committee meeting of Nepali Congress earlier today has decided to stick with the alliance's decision taken yesterday. This means that the meeting decided to support the candidacy of Maoist Parliamentary Committee leader Indra Bahadur Angbo for the post of Koshi Province Chief Minister. Karki and 7 members of the dissident faction have been told to withdraw their claim. A resolution proposal for the effective implementation of the rights of people with disabilities has been approved by the National Assembly today. The proposal was floated by lawmaker Prakash Pantha. Speaking on the resolution proposal, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal said the government was ready to form an academy or commission to ensure the rights of people with disabilities, adding that the government was concerned with their rights. Lawmakers questioned the government's ability to ensure the rights of disabled population. They also opined government and non-government infrastructures across the country should be accessible to all. There are currently around 299,000 individuals who are physically challenged in Nepal, according to Central Bureau of Statistics. The tender process for 3 packages under the Millennium Challenge Corporation's project to construct a transmission line has been scrapped. According to MCA Nepal, these include the tender processes for the 400 kV transmission line in Lapsifedi, Ratamate, New Hetoda, New Damoli transmission line and New Damoli to New Butwal section. MCA Nepal has said it scrapped the tender processes following recommendation from the MCC Secretariat in Washington, as the quotations received were higher than the estimated investment. Officials of MCA Nepal have said a new process has begun. This development, however, has hinted at added challenges in completing the project within the estimated 5 years' time. The project's implementation began on 30th of August earlier this year. The Nepal government and MCC signed the grant agreement worth $500 million in 2017. Nepal is to invest $130 million in the project that will construct a 315-kilometer-long, 400-kilovolt capacity transmission line along with 3 substations. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what do you think is the reason for the delay in repairing roads even during festivities? Your options are A. Road Department's apathy, B. Negligence of contractors, and C. Lack of coordination. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. People in Gaza are left with fear and confusion as Israel has directed more than 1 million trapped Palestinians living in the north of besieged enclave to move south within 24 hours ahead of expected ground offensive. The United Nations has said mass relocation is impossible and could have devastating consequences. The World Health Organization has said moving severely ill people from overwhelmed hospitals in the enclave amounts to a death sentence. Hamas has responded, saying the Israeli warning was a fake propaganda and has told residents to ignore the order. At least 1,537 Palestinians have now been killed and 6,612 wounded in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. The number of people killed in Israel has reached 1,300. Hamas has said Israel's air bombardment killed 13 captives, including foreigners. Protests are being held around the world, including Iran, Jordan and Japan, in support of the Palestinians. Jordan's King Abdullah II has warned Israel against forcibly displacing Palestinians, even internally. Palestinian Health Minister Mai al-Qaila has urged countries and human rights groups to help with the immediate entry of medical and emergency aid to Gaza. The Human Rights Watch has alleged Israel of using white phosphorus in its continuing military operations in Gaza and Lebanon, putting civilians at serious risk following an analysis of video of the conflict. The rights group said it verified footage taken in Lebanon and Gaza on Tuesday and Wednesday, showing multiple uses of artillery-fired white phosphorus. The wax-like toxic substance burns at temperatures high enough to melt metal. The ability to ignite fast-spreading fires and thick smoke over wide areas has made white phosphorus a toxic substance of choice for militaries to create smoke screens. The smoke tends to last for approximately 7 minutes. White phosphorus munitions are extremely difficult to extinguish, continuing to flare until the phosphorus has been completely burned out or until it is no longer exposed to oxygen. It can be deployed through artillery shells, bombs, rockets or grenades. It can burn the skin down to the bone, and the chemicals can be observed by the body, causing dysfunction in multiple organs, including the liver, kidneys and heart. Metabolic disorders can include abnormal potassium levels that can cause heart failure. In addition to the latest Human Rights Watch claims of its use, a 2009 report had also found that Israel extensively used white phosphorus munitions during its 22-day-long operation called Operation Cast Lead in Gaza that lasted from December 27, 2008 until 18th of January 2009. Continuous air raids plus cut-off of water, electricity and fuel supply to Gaza are pushing the local medical system to the brink of collapse, creating a dire humanitarian crisis in the enclave. According to World Health Organization, since the latest conflict, there have been 34 attacks on health facilities in Gaza, killing 11 medical personnel, injuring 16 others and destroying 19 medical facilities and 20 ambulances, which further strains the already overstretched medical system in Gaza. The power plant in Gaza has used up fuel reserves on Thursday. Gaza's medical institutions can only rely on their own generators to maintain the most critical medical services. but the fuel reserves will also run out soon. In addition, Gaza's medical resources, including medicine and equipment, are almost exhausted. The WHO issued a statement yesterday warning that due to the blockade, it is unable to provide fuel, medical and humanitarian supplies to the Gaza Strip and called for an end to attacks on civilians and medical institutions and the immediate establishment of humanitarian corridors. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has met with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Jordan as U.S. officials fanned out across the region in response to violence kicked off by an attack on Israel by Hamas militants the previous weekend. His demand, which the United Nations said would be impossible to carry out without devastating humanitarian consequences, comes a day after Blinken visited Israel and held talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the conflict. The top American diplomat is said to visit 3 more countries, Qatar, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, where he will spend the night. Earlier, Blinken also met with Jordan's King Abdullah in Amman during the second stop of his most extensive Middle East tour yet, as Israel prepares for a sweeping ground offensive in Gaza, and he urged people in Gaza City to evacuate to the south. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said an Israeli ground operation in Gaza would result in a level of civilian casualties that would be absolutely unacceptable. Putin spoke after Israel's military called for all civilians of Gaza City, more than 1 million, to relocate south within 24 hours as it amassed tanks ahead of an expected ground invasion in response to a devastating weekend attack by the militant group Hamas. Putin said that using heavy weaponry in residential areas was fraught with serious consequences for all sides. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.